learners. Welcome to today's tourism lesson. My name is Evans Maponya. This lesson is brought to you by the Gauteng Department of Education in collaboration with Saibono Discovery Center. You can text your questions during and after the lesson on this WhatsApp number 079 578 2908. The number is for your WhatsApp. In an event that you have questions, it's 079 578 2908. Grade 12 learners, welcome to grade 12 of 2025. As I've indicated, we'll be discussing the content that is prescribed for you for the subject tourism that you have enrolled. Now, the first topic for this academic year, which we are going to discuss, is the knowledge area is domestic, regional, and international tourism. Week 1 in your ATP or work schedule. The topic is global events of international significance. Not only global events, but they have to be of international importance. The subtopic is global events. Now, let's get to the topic itself. Where will it be assessed? You'll be assessed on this topic in section E, question 9 of the final examination. You'll also be assessed on this topic during the controlled test. You'll also be assessed on skills assessment task. The topic will also be assessed in the PET preliminary examination as well as the final examination. Just bear in mind that it constitutes section E and it will appear as question 9 in your final examination. What do you need to know and understand as a grade 12 learner is the concept of global events. We are going to scrutinize it. We are going to explain and define it to your understanding. Sporting events, it's another concept which includes the FIFA World Cup, the Wimbledon Open, the Comrades Marathon, Tour de France, the Olympic Games. It also includes other events such as the G8 Summit, Summit on Climate Change, which in accordance with your work schedule, they should be only mentioned as an example. You don't have to get deeper into understanding what these other events entails. You will also have to look into the positive and negative impact of global events on international tourism as outlined in your ATP. You'll further be required to know and understand the impact of hosting global events on domestic tourism in the host country, You'll also have to understand the impact of hosting the global event on domestic tourism with regard to the economy of the host country. You'll also have to better understand the advantages and the disadvantages for the host country within a tourism context. You also need to understand the development of infrastructural services, investment, foreign exchange income, as well as the multiplier effect. We are going to unpack all these concepts that I've mentioned as we proceed with the lesson. What is a global event, or what are global events? A global event refers to a sporting event or a summit or similar event held at a determined intervals. It refers to either a sporting event, a summit, or similar event held at a determined interval. Now, a sporting event will be referring to your rugby, your soccer, your tennis, and any other sporting code you can mention. But the participation or these sporting activities affect the whole world. All countries of the world assemble in a particular area or in a particular country to participate and represent their country. The sportsmen will gather in a particular country in the world. Hence, we are talking of a global event. So it happens globally. It affects all the countries of the world. I'm going to cite an example. The match between Orlando Pirates and Kaizer Chiefs is not a global sporting event. Rather, it is a local sporting event. So it may not be a global event. However, it is watched by so many countries in the world. It may not be referred as a global sporting event because it is a South African affair. Only one teams in one country will be participating. A summit, it's a meeting held by delegates of state or different countries of the world where they will discuss issues of economic benefit to the world. So it is also categorized as a global event. And the explanation further refers to similar event held at determined intervals. The determined interval suggests to you that it is not an event that happens or takes place every day, a single day of the year. It is programmed in such a way that it takes place after a year or every year, or it takes place after a period of 4 years. An example being the Soccer World Cup the Olympic Games, where all the countries of the world are given an opportunity to participate in the events of such global significance. So a Soccer World Cup doesn't happen every month or every year, but after an interval of 4 years. So having taken place in 2022, our next World Cup will take place in 2026. So that is the interval that is being referred to here. As we further explain global event, it is an organized event which is planned and prepared for a long period of time. You can imagine how long it takes to prepare a Soccer World Cup or the Olympic Games. So preparations include the building, construction of infrastructure, all the logistics that are needed for the host country to offer the world a good event of world magnitude. A global event is a happening or an occurrence of international importance. It is not just an event, it must give value to the whole world. So it is not just a simple event, it is highly an important or a significant event. Global events, as we move further, will attract participants, spectators, journalists, and television viewers from all over the world. So it is not an event that attracts spectators from one country, but all spectators from different countries of the world are attracted to global events. And so are the participants, as well as the media personnel for different television stations around the world. As we go further and further, we can also say global events can be sporting events or other planned events of international significance. Now we are being specific here to say it can be a sporting event of international significance that do not involve sports. Every country that participates will be represented by delegates. So from every country, there will be people delegated to represent that particular country. There will be representatives from different countries that will be participating in that global event. Often the country hosting the global event gets a lot of media coverage. So if a country has been elected to host a global event, gets a lot of publicity in newspapers, in television, and other media that are available, including social media as well. Examples of global sporting events. Now we're going to give categories of global sporting event. The key word here is events that involve sport. So those sporting events must attract the whole universe. Countries from all over the world should be represented in that. So the first example that we are going to look into is the FIFA Soccer World Cup. The largest and the most viewed international football event hosted every 4th year in a country. So the two lines indicated on the slides here indicate to you that the FIFA World Cup is held every 4 years, or you'll have an interval of 4 years to host another World Cup. So example here being the 2018 one, which was held in Russia. Then the last World Cup took place in 2022 in Qatar. So if we go back, you'd remember that South Africa is a country at some point hosted the World Cup. But we cannot refer to that at this point in time, because 15 years have gone past, and we have the world has hosted 3 World Cups after that. So we should refer to the most recent information. So tourism is a very dynamic subject. It changes over the years. We cannot find ourselves stuck in the 2010 World Cup, but it is important to mention for us as South Africans that at some point in time we have been afforded an opportunity to host the World Cup. So this sporting event seemed to attract nations from all over the world. Currently, as we speak, preparations are on for the 2026 Soccer World Cup. You have teams or countries in the elimination rounds busy as we speak. Another example of global sporting event is Tour de France. This is a bicycle race which is held in France, while also occasionally making passes through neighboring country. And we had the last event of this nature in 2022. So of importance to note is that it takes place in France, that is the country, and it passes through neighboring countries that are neighbors to France, also have an experience, but they are not the host country. Another example that we have is the Comrades Marathon. This is an internationally recognized annual 89-kilometer ultra marathon. So the distance of this event is 89 kilometers, and it happens in South Africa between the city of Durban and Pietermaritzburg in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. The direction of the race alternates every year between these two cities. So if this year the race started from Durban, or had Durban as the point of departure and ends in Pietermaritzburg, the following year the event will start from Pietermaritzburg and ends in Durban. That is the alternating aspect that is being referred here. So of you to note is that it stretches over 89 kilometers between Durban and Pietermaritzburg, and the province is KwaZulu-Natal. And you need to indicate that it is an annual event. It takes place every year. And the direction of the race changes annually. If it started in Durban, for instance, ending in Pietermaritzburg the following year, it will start in Pietermaritzburg. As you can see, the starting point on the picture here, and as to the number of participants, you can see it has attracted so many people to participate. So the map here indicates the route of the race, that is from Pietermaritzburg and ends in Durban. This is the start and this is the finish line. So the map just demonstrates the stretch or the route through the marathon, and as to smaller cities between Durban and Pietermaritzburg, where the race passes through. So as you can see, this is the halfway mark, and the name of the town is Drummond. So it stretches through to Hillcrest, Kloof, and Pinetown up to Westville, and the final end is Durban. And it goes vice versa annually. This is the logo for the race, and as you can see, the 2024, the slogan was "No doubt, Noma Kanjani, 2024 Uprun." As we move further in listing the examples of global events, you have the Olympic Games, and what characterizes the Olympic Games is that it is an international multi-sport event. So the word multi here suggests that many sports are involved and subdivided into summer and winter sporting event, as well as Paralympic and Youth Olympic edition. So these are some other forms that the Olympic Games take. We are told is divided into summer and winter sporting events. So some of the sporting codes can be seasonal. So that is accommodated by this global event, the Olympic Games. It also caters for the Paralympic. The Paralympic are referred to people with challenges, physical, mental, people who are challenged in one way or the other are also allowed an opportunity to participate. And lastly, also the youth have their own sets of competition to participate in this different or multi-sporting event. The Summer Games and Winter Olympics are each held every 4 years. So here are your categories. Some Olympics would happen in summer, and some will happen in winter, and both of them are held after a period of 4 years from the previous one. And this is the logo that represents the Olympic Games. So As soon as you see this cycle joining each other, please identify it with the Olympic Games. As we move further with global sporting events, you'd realize that we held in 2020 the Tokyo Olympic Games. Unfortunately, because during that time, it was COVID-19 which affected the whole world. The 2020 Olympic Games were postponed and held in 2021 owing to the COVID-19 that affected the world those years. I'm speaking of 2020, 2021. And so it was held in 2021 because the effects of the COVID-19 was thought to have been subsided during that time. In 2024, the event was held in Paris. So initially, the one that was held in Tokyo was meant to take place in 2020, so was postponed to 2021 because of COVID. And as you can see here, that interval that we spoke to, that from 2020 to 2024, Olympic Games are held at an interval of 4 years. So in 2024, the event that was last year was held in Paris, which is the city in France. And this is again the logo for the Tokyo 2020, and the 2024, the same logo repeats. So this is a representation of the Olympic game. And as you can see, the Tokyo 2020, this is how it was inscribed. And as you can see here, the Paris came up with something that would attract spectators and people who have interest in the Olympic game. As you can see here, the two, it's like this. And also this one number is divided to represent the two digits, which is 2 and a 4. So this is how they've used to market the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. Other examples of global sporting event would include the Wimbledon Open. This refers to the oldest tennis tournament in the world, and it is held at an interval of each year. Every year you'd have this tennis tournament, and it is hosted in England Club in Wimbledon. Wimbledon is one of the cities found in it's a place found in London, which is the city in the United Kingdom. And this tennis is played on grass courts. It is one of the 4 Grand Slam tennis tournament. And as you can see here on the picture is the logo, and here it shows, or it demonstrates, this picture would demonstrate a tennis player at her best. Examples of other global events, it's the G8 summit, which we referred to in the introduction. The G8 summit refers to the group of 8 countries or 8 intergovernmental organizations that meet annually to address international economic and monetary issues. Monetary issues refers to money or finances. So the aim of this summit, of this gathering, a summit is a meeting of head or intergovernmental organizations or head of states or ministers with the aim of addressing issues that are of economic nature, issues that involve money or finances of impoverished countries. And the G8 is no longer existing. It is now referred to as the G7. It is called the G7 because one member state withdrew its membership from the G8. So now instead of having 8 countries, we remain with 7 countries. And now this summit is now named the G7. So we no longer have the G8, the correct summit that is held to discuss international economic matters as well as financial issues is now the G7. As you can count the flags representing the countries involved here. Example of other global events is climate change meetings. This refers to annual conferences arranged by the United Nations Organization to assess global progress in dealing with climate change. We are living in a world that is affected by climate change. The continents are overheating. You'd have continuous rainfall, and there are conferences mainly looking or organized by the UN, which is United Nations, to address matters that concerns climate and weather in different countries of the world. So we had COP28 as the last one, and it took place in Dubai, in the United Arab Emirates, in November 2023. Before then, it was held in Glasgow in 2021, which is one of the cities in Italy. Now, we've discussed the examples of global events. We've assessed various sporting events. We've looked into the Soccer World Cup as one of the main events that involves the whole world. We've looked into Olympic Games and the interval at which these are hosted. We've looked into the Comrades Marathon. We've also looked into the summits, the G8, which we said is now the G7 because Russia withdrew its membership in 2014, I'm sorry. So since 1998, the group of 8 consisting of France, the United States of America, the United Kingdom, Russia, Germany, Italy, Japan, and Canada joined hands to discuss matters of economic and financial significance to find solutions to poverty that is affecting so many countries in the world. So it was established in 1998 and it was called the G8. And in 2014, as I've indicated, Russian Federation ejected themselves from the G8 political forum following the Russian annexation of Crimea. They have took total control of another country, which is not acceptable by countries of the world, especially by the United Nations Organization. It is now the group of 7. These 7 have their economy very stable and willingly to assist countries that are poor. Leaders from these countries meet on a regular basis to discuss issues of macroeconomic management, international trade, terrorism, and relations with developing countries. So Russia withdrew itself because the act of annexation is classified as an act of terrorism, and it is not acceptable, or it's not an acceptable principle in this group of rich countries of the world. So the intention here of the group is to discuss and assist as possibly as they can the poor countries or the poorer countries of the world. Hence, you have developing countries. These countries' economies are not stable enough to sustain its inhabitants. Now, let's look at the positive impact of global events on international tourism. The impact here, we are referring to the pros and cons, how it affects countries of the world. Hence, we are referred to international tourism. So firstly, the Conference of Parties, that is COP. We have given example of COP26 and COP28 that happened in Italy and United States of America, Arab Emirates, which subscribe to the Kyoto Protocol, meets every year to assess progress in dealing with climate change. So the aim of this conference, that is the COP, is to look into the aspect of climate change. The Kyoto Protocol is an arrangement. So the protocol here refers to certain procedure. And Kyoto here is a city on which the protocol or the procedures on climate change were agreed upon. So it's an agreement that puts targets in place for the industrialized countries and European community to reduce the emission of greenhouse gases. We know for a fact greenhouse gases affect the ozone layer and leads to climate change. So the reduction of emission of greenhouse gases will sustain our atmosphere and will protect the ozone layer from getting damaged. So COP17 was held in South Africa. COP26 was held in Glasgow, UK in 2021. And after after the 2020 conference was postponed due to COVID pandemic, COP27 was held in Egypt in 2022. So this is an annual event or an event taking place at an interval of 1 year to discuss issues of climate. Now we have looked into the impact. Now let's categorize the impacts into positives and negatives. Starting with the positive impact of global events on international tourism, the positive effect of media. International events are broadcast globally, giving information about the destination. So if, say for instance, the event is hosted in South Africa, other than the meeting itself, other than the event itself, people also take interest on other activities. For that matter, tourism activities that are happening in the country, in the destination where the global event is taking place. And that helps the country to attract tourists from other tourist offerings that the country has. So other than the meeting, people of the world are able to see from the media, from television, other attractions in the country and would eventually want to visit the country hosting the global event. Global events also creates positive atmosphere or beautiful scenery can encourage visitors to visit the host country. So the atmosphere that is covered by media would attract visitors to want to tour the host country. The positive effect of participant and sports fans. Participation and sport fans will need a variety of service and facility during their stay. So if we were to hold a global event, people from different countries will want to buy goods and services that are offered in this country if we were to be the host. The providers of these services and facilities will benefit financially. So those people who sell, those vendors, those businesses that are involved, such as bank, restaurant, hotels, the transport sector, will benefit financially. This will help to promote the destination. So if good service is rendered to this tourist, then the destination will be promoted. They will have a lot to talk about the destination, thus promoting the country as a destination of choice. Now, let us look into the negative impacts of global events on international tourism. Here are your possible negative impacts. If an event is unsuccessful or not well managed, fans may not return or recommend the host to other destinations. If an event fails or if an event doesn't live to the expectation of the fans, or it is not well managed, it is characterized by issues of corruption, unfinished project, then fans may not come back and they will recommend other countries to host such events. Another negative impact of global events on international tourism is that problem caused by fans and participants. For instance, people attending events away from home could behave irresponsibly in an unbecoming manner, and this can result into an antisocial behavior. It will also can result in accidents, illegal activities, as well as sexually transmitted diseases. So illegal activities, here we are referring to criminal activities such as the proliferation of things like drugs and other criminal activities can be brought into the host country. Also, the problem caused by an increase in visitors to an area, excuse me, the problems caused by an increase in visitors to an area. So the different problems can be brought into the countries when we experience a large number of visitors. Grade 12 learners, I hope you're following. Can we take a 3 minutes break and we'll move further to discuss this topic of global events. Welcome back, grade 12 learners. You are also reminded to WhatsApp your questions to this number 079 578 2908. So as we move further, I just want to repeat the negative impacts of global events on international tourism. So we have indicated that if it's unsuccessful or not well managed, the fans may not recommend that nation or that country to host such events in future. It is associated with problems such as when people from other countries behaving irresponsibly will result in antisocial behavior. And if they continue to behave irresponsibly, we might experience a lot of accidents, illegal activities, and sexually transmitted diseases. The problem caused by an increase of visitors in the area, we know when the more the people in a particular area, the more the situation gets out of hand. The negative impacts of global events on international tourism as we continue. The problems caused by an increase of visitors to an area would include the facilities that support a global event must be able to accommodate the large number of fans, an increase in noise, pollution, litter, traffic congestion, and often result from such event. So these are the problems associated when we receive a high volume of visitors, a high number of tourists, and will experience large noise from the crowds, the pollution, the litter, and the traffic jams. Noisy fans or loud music, rubbish in the streets, and traffic congestion can make the inhabitants of a city and the visitors opposed to future events in the area. So if these characteristics, if these issues are not addressed, so some visitors from other nations may be prevented from attending future events. Now, let's look into another topic of importance when we discuss global events. That is the impact of hosting a global event on domestic tourism in the host country. So those were the first set of impacts were confined to domestic tourism. So this one further to state domestic tourism in a host country. So one of the positive impact is that it receives publicity. So you have public relations opportunities where countries will network with other countries. So people visit a certain area because they enjoyed watching an event hosted in the country on television or in media. So the country will get exposure, and as they watch the event on TV, they get attracted to the attractions that often are shown captured on their TV screens and want to visit the country. The local population The inhabitants of the host country benefit from global event because it gives them the once in a lifetime opportunity to attend such an event. So if you are an inhabitant of a host country, that would benefit you because you don't have to travel far away to attend the event. The event is brought to your home country for you to see. Skills development when members of local population are employed before and during the event. So people are upskilled, people get some skills for certain jobs because they will be employed and thus learning whilst working on the infrastructure or other sectors of the economy. The impact of hosting a global event on domestic tourism in the host country continue, and it also has an impact on seasonality, meaning that staging events is a way to reduce the effect of seasonality and attract domestic tourists during quiet times of the year. So certain events are hosted during the time which we, in our everyday language, we refer to them as off-season. So events held in an off-season can reduce the effect or the impact of seasonality and attract domestic tourists during those times where we encounter few tourists. Reducing the effect of seasonality makes tourism industry more competitive. So it gives the tourism industry a competitive edge. The impact of hosting a global event on the economy of the host country can also lead to job creation. Direct employment, jobs in the accommodation sector, security companies, and catering services, to list but a few, and indirect employment in different sectors of the economy as well. It also lead into entrepreneurial opportunities that would arise due to the hosting of global event. And with regard to foreign exchange income, foreign tourists attending a global event spend money on local products and services, bringing foreign currency, which they exchange for local currency. So as they attend the global event, they spend their money on goods or products and services that the country has to offer. The impact of hosting a global event on the economy of the host country. It leads to income generation. Hosting a global event generates income for the city and the country in which the event is hosted. A global event can benefit the tourism industry in the long term and contribute to the host country's gross domestic product. The gross domestic product will be discussed in other topics this year. However, I deem it fit to explain what it means. The gross domestic product refers to the total value of all goods and services produced in a country in a period of year. The total value of all goods, products, and services produced in a country in 1 year is referred to as the gross domestic product. So then a global event can benefit the tourism industry and in the long term contribute significantly to the gross domestic product of the host country. Insofar as investment is concerned, hosting of a global event may encourage business to invest in the country and in the economy in which the event is hosted. So it has a potential of attracting investors from all over the world, and that benefiting the economy of the host country. It also encourages entrepreneurship. Most of the people, when we host an event, they will think of any business they can to benefit out of the event. I can remember during the World Cup, people had to leave their houses and use them as accommodation for international tourists that visited the country. The advantages of a global event holds for the host country. The first advantage is that hosting a global event will lead to development of infrastructure. Global events lead to improvements in infrastructure at the host destination. For example, you will have the improved transport systems, so new roads and old ones are built and old ones are improved. The entire transport services is upgraded. You'll have an upgrade of airports, bus and train stations, and roads, upgraded or new sports stadium, conference centers and hotels are improved, and as well as communication services. Major infrastructural development will take place, for example, stadium, sports, villages for the country in preparation for the events. Recreation facilities will also be built for the local residents, and the economy will continue to enjoy this after the event. So it doesn't end, or the benefits do not end as soon as the event comes to an end. So there is that element of continuity. So such facilities will continue to work or to function after or long after the event has ended. The advantage of a global event holds for the host country with regard to investment is that foreign and local companies and people attending an event may see an opportunity for business. Good publicity and enhanced reputation during and after the event lead to increased investors' confidence and business opportunity. So people develop interest to extend their businesses in the host country, especially if the event was a success. Other advantages of global event holds for the host country is that a global event can benefit the tourism industry and contribute to the host country's gross domestic product. We have alluded to this one. It leads to job creation. We have also explained that earlier. Increased national pride. So it has that element that South Africans, if it's South Africa, will embrace themselves to say, wow, what a good event that we have hosted. And that insight gives us satisfaction that indeed we can compete with the rest of the world. It also leads to transformation and upliftment of communities, and it showcases the host nation's different cultures. Other advantages of a global event holds to the host country. It leads to publicity of the country. So the country hosting the event gets known worldwide. Encourages partnership between countries so that friendship become established between countries, and it also has a benefit of encouraging cooperation between countries. The disadvantage of global events for a host country, it's reflected in high cost of new infrastructure, because when you host a new an event of world magnitude, you must improve your infrastructure, and that involves a lot of money. Sports and stadiums and venues often need to be built. Transport infrastructure has to be improved, and that involves a lot of money. The infrastructure development sometimes remain unused after the event. So some of the structures, some of the stadia after the World Cup will not be used and turning into white elephants. The local community often has to carry the cost of the infrastructure. So the local or the host community at some point is not assisted to improve its own infrastructure. So that is of disadvantage because they have to spend a lot of money without being sure that they will get that profit in return. Other disadvantages are disappointing investment and foreign exchange income. Expectations of product owners regarding investment and number of foreign visitors may not be realized, resulting in a loss of income. So what if you invest a lot into your products only to find that it attracts fewer people around the world? Then the whole investment ran into a loss. The increased cost of goods and services, the price of goods and services such as accommodation, event tickets, property and restaurant bills may increase during the event, and these high prices will affect members of the local community. The multiplier effect and economic leakages. The income generated from a global event does not always remain in the host country. This is called leakage. So leakage refers to where and when money which is supposed to benefit the local community is channeled into other pockets other than the host community. So more and more disadvantages such as community opposition. Some of the events can be ruined by opposition by the community and can lead to environmental impacts, increased pollution, crowds and overusage of resources, increased level of crime, increased pollution, traffic congestions are some of the issues that are experienced during the hosting of the event. The negative media coverage if the event proves to be unsuccessful, so the country's image will be doomed. Exploitation of cultures and surrounding environment is one of the disadvantages that may prevail. Now, let's test our knowledge. I've prepared a few activities for you, and let's see if we can successfully answer the question. I've alluded to the fact that you'll be assessed on this section in section E of the final examination, and this has been extracted from one of the previous question papers, and it is your question 9.1. It says, read the information and answer the questions that follow. I'm going to quickly read what is written inside this. You have the 2023 World Cup Table Tennis Championship Finals, Durban, South Africa. The picture is depicted here where two players are engaged. The world descended on sunny Durban, South Africa in May 2023. This city hosted the World Table Tennis Championships from 22 to 28 May in 2023 at the Durban International Convention Center. It was the first time the championship were held in Africa since 1989. Approximately 400 players from 227 countries were accompanied by representatives from their respective countries. The championship had a major impact on the economy of Durban, KwaZulu-Natal, and South Africa as a whole. We are more than ready to host the world, said Tekwini Executive Mayor Mzolisi Kaunda in anticipation of the World Table Tennis Championship. That is what is inside the table. Now let's look into the questions. 9.1.1, give the one reason why the World Table Tennis Championship is regarded as a global event. 9.1.2, explain two reasons why Durban was an ideal venue for the championship. And 9.1.3, state two positive impacts the championship had on the economy of Durban. So we are going to try and respond to these questions. The first one, why is it regarded as a global event? As we try to respond to that, it says more than 400 players from 227 countries participated. So the answer is extracted from the scenario that I've read for you. So because 227 countries were involved and more than 400 players from those countries participated. Or one can say participant representatives, spectators, and media personnel came from all over the world. So you can imagine 227 countries gathering in Durban. So it is indeed a world event, looking at the number of countries that participated and spectators from those countries. 9.1.2, the question was why Durban was ideal for hosting this event of this magnitude. Durban has the infrastructure, transport networks, hotel, restaurants, lively entertainment sports, and has, amongst others, the best sporting venue. So this puts Durban at an advantage or give Durban the competitive edge to host this kind of event. One might also say Durban has a unique African experience, perfect climate, and the most welcoming people in the world. So for 4 marks, you shall have answered that question, but here are some more alternative answers. Durban has partnered with South Africa Table Tennis Board, KwaZulu-Natal Tourism, and all their stakeholders to ensure that the world knows KwaZulu-Natal is a magnificent and a must-see province. And lastly, Durban has everything to ensure a unique visitor experience, such as beautiful scenery and a landscape, flora and fauna, and culture, heritage, Zulu experience, pristine beaches, perfect climate, and friendliest people. All this answers the question as to why Durban was ideal for hosting the table tennis championship. The last one. This one answers 9.1.3. Tourists that attended the event contributed to the foreign exchange. The income generated by the event contributed to the GDP of the country for 4 marks, and other answers to the question on benefits to the economy of Durban relates to infrastructure to have been improved. The event put a multiplier effect into motion, which benefited the local community or the local economy. Job creation, workers earned money at the event. Income was generated before, during, and after the championship, and the entrepreneurial opportunities were created for local people. Good publicity for Durban, locally and internationally. Those were the economic impact the championship had on Durban. Let's move on and look at another extract from our National Senior Certificate question paper. As always, you'll be assessed on this topic on section E, and it's question 9. So 9.1, it says, read the extract below and answer the questions that follow. Rugby World Cup brings millions to the French economy. As South Africa celebrates its triumphs in the Rugby World Cup 2023, host country France had a victory on its own. The event generated a sizable economic benefit for the country. France 2023 organizing committee expected 40 million euros in profits at the end of the event. They plan to allocate the profits to support sport, finance, CSI programs, develop infrastructure, and promote rugby in France. It's no wonder they were optimistic. Some 2.5 million tickets were sold in total for the competition, with prices ranging from 10 euros to 915 euros. Here are your questions. Classify the Rugby World Cup as a type of event with international significance. 9.1.2, explain the term host country. And 9.1.3, it says, read the quotation below, taken from the extract, and answer the questions that follow. The event generated a sizable economic benefit for the country. With reference to the quotation, write a paragraph evaluating the impact of the 2023 Rugby World Cup, and you should include the following: 2 positive impacts of on the economy of France, and 2 negative impacts of hosting the global event. Here are the answers. 9.1.1, Rugby World Cup is classified as a sporting event of international significance, or you can say is classified as a global event of international significance. 9.1.2, with regard to the country nation where an event was held, and this answers the question on the host country. What is a host country? The country or the nation where an event was held, the country from where an event is broadcasted, or you can say the people of a country that welcome sports, tourists, and media to enjoy the event. The people of the country who were awarded the right to organize the event in a particular year, providing facilities and accommodation for 2 marks. Nine point 1.3, where you were required to give the 2 positive impacts and the 2 negative impacts in a paragraph form. So you make sure you write full sentences. So it leads to job creation for the residents. It attracts investment, and other alternative would be entrepreneurial opportunities for the residents were created, skill development of local people, improved multiplier effect, potential strengthening of the currency. It means the upgrading and improvement of facilities such as stadiums, roads, and transport services. It means an increase in the accommodation establishment. The economic boost will lead to an increase in the GDP, improved global status and visibility as the events are marketed via the media. The money is going to be returned to sport and development of rugby in France. The money is going to be used for corporate social investment programs, and that answers the paragraph you are expected to write on the positive impacts of hosting a global event to the economy of France. In particular, here we are referring to the rugby. The 2 negative impacts relates to increased prices of goods and services due to a demand in the market. So this might affect the pockets of the local residents. Crime statistics might rise, which could give the country a negative image. An influx of tourists might cause pollution, that is environmental pollution, noise, and visual pollution. There might be a disintegration in terms of the culture of French people. Too much money can be spent on upgrading facilities, with debt incurred taking years to recover. Money spent by visitors might go back towards imported goods, economic leakage. It may also lead to the depletion of resources. Mass tourism can have a negative impact on local life. Stadiums underutilized after the event, where we have spoken about the white elephants, congestion in certain areas at and around the event. One more activity, it's assessed in section E again of the national paper, question 9, and it's 9.1. Read the information below and answer the questions that follow. Were human rights violated? The FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022. At the World Cup matches were underway, human rights activists were protesting against soccer games and Qatar officials. The reason for the unhappiness was human rights issues for the hundreds of workers who were busy with the preparation and construction of infrastructure. It was reported that workers were forced to work long hours in the heat and were unpaid. Some workers were also treated by supervisors. Nearly 90% of the workforce in Qatar was from outside Qatar and worked in construction, in homes, and in hotels. They were not treated well, and many people died during Qatar World Cup Championships. The questions: choose the correct answer from those within brackets. FIFA World Cup is classified as A, summit, sporting global event. 9.1.2, Discuss one positive impact of infrastructure development as a result of global event. And 9.1.3, discuss two ways in which the negative publicity damaged the image of the host country. The World Cup is classified as a global sporting event. That answers 9.1.1. 9.1.2, any global event will require new upgraded infrastructure development. It can include the following: new or upgraded stadiums, better roads, new roads leading to attraction, improved services, for example, emergency response team, accessible medical care, improved signage in areas where it is required, better and efficient transport services, better new hotels, homes to accommodate foreign visitors, as well as improved basic infrastructure, water, electricity, sewerage to areas where development take place. So these are some of the benefits that relate to infrastructure. Allegations of human rights abuses will damage the host country's nation's image. All Qatars will be seen in this light. There could be trade restriction imposed by global community. International travel to and from the country might be limited. Workers might not be eager to take on work in Qatar. All the good that was done during the World Cup could be undone by bad publicity. So this question answers 9.1.3 on the image of Qatar. Grade 12 learners, that is what you have to know or that you need to internalize going in the topic of global event of international significance, where we have listed examples such as Soccer World Cup, different sporting codes that participants go through in the Olympic Games, as well as the Comrades Marathon held in South Africa, the Wimbledon Open, and other events like the COP 26, the COP 28, as well as global events such as the G7, which initially was the G8, where Russia withdrew its membership. In short, that is the content that underlies the topic of the global events of international significance. Grade 12s, we've come to the end of this topic. And as I've indicated, please post your question on the WhatsApp number, which I will soon read out. It's 079 578 2908. Post your question to 079 on WhatsApp 578 2908. Thank you, and thank you, Everett.